Hello, my little droplets. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. I know a lot of you got off from school and now can enjoy the days before you have to start back up again. So today I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step instruction on how to draw a tree. I'm laying down the basic foundations of the tree, the simple shapes, not getting too bogged down in the details. For the leaves, I just drew a circle, and I'm working right now on the base or the trunk of the tree. And I didn't want it to look symmetrical, because if you look outside, there's not real symmetry that you see. You see one big trunk, but when it branches off, it doesn't go on in the same directions. At the top, I wanted to have a branch poking out, so I'm trying to see how I can have some more trees at the top, but the composition was off on that, so I decided to erase it and instead put it in on the left side. And you'll see later, when I use the alcohol markers, that area will be a little bit darker where I have the branch sticking out there. So I'm just going in and erasing all the lines before I go in with this green alcohol markers. Today I'm using the 72 set of the Copic. Right now I'm using the YG23. And this is just the lightest color I'm going to use. I'm going from lightest to darkest because for me that seems to be the easiest way. You do tend to use a bit more ink, but that's okay with me because this way I feel like I have the most control of the alcohol markers that I'm putting down. It is looking a bit streaky right now. The first coat tends to, depending on what paper you're using. That's not going to bother me because I'm going to be using several coats. Now in this drawing, the light source is coming from the top right, so that is going to be the lightest area. And you'll see me using the brush tip. I'm just trying to create a smooth coat for the time being, and then as I go on I'll add textures. As you can see, you're not going to want to add every single leaf. We're not drawing leaves, we're drawing the shape to suggest that there's a bunch of leaves here. And then I'm moving on to the darkest color, which is the BG94. You'll see me go on to the mid-tone, switch back to it as I'm trying to blend it out so there's no harsh lines. And I going right there just to suggest that the branch is shading that part, even though it's on the light side, the branch is shading that. And you'll see me switch over to the chisel tip end. That's to provide some textures. I'm just doing these little C shapes to provide texture. Then I go back in because I want a little bit more control, which I feel I can get from the brush tip. And then as I use a medium color, I go back to the chisel tip to give that texture of the trees, so it no longer looks flat, because you don't want that flat color. Trees are a flat shade of green, and that's what I'm trying to suggest. And I even want the borders to look a little bit choppy because that's to suggest that leaves are pointing out of the tree. So on the base of the tree, I'm using E31, and I'm starting on the right side again where the light source is. I'll then transition into E51, which will be put more on the left. I'm going to leave some white of the page to suggest the highlight, and you'll see me use it on both sides, but it'll be most heavy on the left side where there is less light, and so there's more shade, so it should look a bit darker. For the darkest area, I'm going in with E77, and you can see that is such a jump between the E51, and it looks really harsh right now. So I'm trying to go in back with the E51 over it to try and blend it out, but it just does not look quite right. I'll go over it some more, and then even go over the E51 with the E30, I believe it is, to try and blend them out. But ultimately I cannot get the shading right, so I go in with the fourth color that's in between the E51 and E77, which is the E71. That's a lighter brown, and that is more of the realistic look that I'm going for. I'm going in between for my style of realism versus semi-cartoony. That's the middle ground that I'm trying to reach. And on the bottom, you'll see me mainly using that middle green tone. But I also go in on the left side with some of that yellow-green YG23. And on the right, I use my darkest as well. So The outline is really where it starts to come together. As you can see, I'm using microns. That's what I like to use when I'm outlining all of my Copic marker sets drawings. So on this side, I'm starting off with the 0.2, and you'll see me, I'm not trying to add perfect straight lines. The little imperfections that came in as I colored it in, I'm trying to incorporate that so that the tree has a little pizzazz, a little funk to it. And then you'll see me switch over to a 0.5. But first, I decided that the left side of the page where that branch is sticking in needs to be darkened up a little bit. So instead of using like a darker green or black, I'm going in with the blue tone to darken it up. That is a trick that you can do. You can use blues and purples to darken up some of your areas. Now I'm hopping in with a micron. I nearly used a red micron, but then at the last moment I realized. So I pulled out a black 0.5 micron, and I'm going over the darkest areas in that, because the darkest areas where the least amount of sun is, so that's where the most shade should be. So you'll see me giving some more characteristic features around the branch that is sticking up within the tree, like it's holding up leaves to suggest that the tree is full. I hope you guys like this tutorial. Comment any suggestions you have in the future, and I'm going to zoom in to give you guys a close-up of what I have drawn, and then back up so you can see it full view. See you next time. Bye.